Hello, Chapter 8 for Introduction to Hospitality Managed Service. Chapter 8, Learning Objectives, summarize managed services and differentiate managed service operations from commercial, describe managed services in various hospitality segments, and describe senior living management. Managed services versus commercial services. So managed services consist of all food service operations as follows: airlines, military, elementary school, and secondary schools, college universities, healthcare facilities, business and industry, leisure recreation, conferences centers, airports, and travel plazas. We're going to go in depth in all of these sections in the next slides. There may be cost savings, but if they lack the expertise, they may not want to invite contractors to submit proposals. For example, you'll save costs, but then sometimes you have to get an outside contractor to manage all of these services. These services manage more things other than just food. So many companies have recognized the potential to increase market opportunities beyond food. Services including housekeeping, maintenance, landscaping, and others. And also universities recognize this as an area for career opportunities. For example, if there's a hospitality or food service school within the university, they can use those students for job opportunities later on. Let's go in depth in the managed services in various hospitality segments. First is airlines and airports, in-flight and airport food services. So food service and airlines comes from in-flight businesses or a contractor. They're the various companies that can service these in-flight meals. We have Sky Chef, we have other independent companies that will make food just specifically for an airline. So the food must be able to withstand transportation conditions and extend holding times, hot or cold. That's why sometimes you have stews, not really fresh items. It's limited depending on how long the flights are. International flights tend to have better food and beverages. As you notice, well, they cut back a lot of food services in the United States. So you'll have a bag of peanuts, maybe a drink. Other than that, usually domestic flights, you don't have normal meals. International flights are a little bit more extensive. As airlines have decreased, airport restaurants such as popular chain restaurants along with quick service restaurants have picked up their business. For example, you go into different terminals, you can have a pizza joint, CPK, California Pizza Kitchen, Panda Express are also located. Also other food chains like Rock and Brews have them in LAX where people can get food, order them, eat there at the airport, and or take food to go onto their flight. Military food service is large and important component of managed food service. They have so many troops, depending on where in the country and out of the country, food service is very important. Even with military downsizing, military food service sales are estimated over 27 billion a year. A lot of industry workers work in food industry. We had a couple of chefs that were chefs in the military. It's a great opportunity for culinary students to go in. If they don't want to be infantry or any of those other things, they could work in the food service aspect of the military. Efforts are being made to address problems with service delays, inferior products, and inventory controls, more high quality. And another trend is testing prepared foods that can be reheated and served without much labor. If you go overseas, a lot of bagged eggs, things that are just add water and mix, heat, a lot of industry components and food are invented and used in the military. MREs, which are meals ready to eat, are standard for troops in the field. So easy to eat, easy portion control. The next we'll talk about schools, elementary and secondary schools. In 1946, the US government enacted the National School Lunch Act in response to concern about student meals. The rationale was that if students received good meals, the military would have healthier recruits. Major challenge for the program is to balance salability with nutrition. It's very common even nowadays for lunches to be popular. Are students going to eat it or they're not going to eat it? and with the balance of nutrition. A lot of students love a chicken finger or French fries or pizza, but is it nutritious? Schools decided to participate in the National School Lunch Program. The National School Lunch Program is a huge market for fast food chains. Back in the 90s, Domino's used to come into schools, Otis Spunkmeyer from the Bay Area, so they always had chocolate chip cookies. It was a big opportunity for chains to market their industry within schools. Um, national education programs that started, national education programs were required by the National School Lunch Program. The food guide called My Plate was developed by the by USDA and illustrates what to eat for following healthy diet. Before it used to be a My Pyramid back in the day, now it's My Plate. To focus, half the plate, more fruits, vegetables, then the other side would be grains and protein, and a little bit of dairy. So colleges and universities are a little bit different than the National School Lunch Program. So resident halls, cafeterias, student unions, faculty clubs, sports concessions, conferences, convenience stores, administrative catering, and outside catering are the major components of this segment. Our college, our community college, doesn't have this many. We just have a cafeteria, we have administrative catering, and we have a bistro at LA Harbor College. But on-campus dining can be a challenge because the clientele who lives there may get tired of the meals on the campus facilities. So it's a range. Some places they have their own satellite, their own. For example, Cal Poly Pomona has their own staff that run some of the dining halls, and then also other schools outsource some of their food through companies like Aramark and or Sodexo would offer food service for schools as well. But they may get bored, so they would like a different change. So budgeting is easier provided for the daily rates. On-campus service are undergoing continuously. Menus change, offerings change, the trends change. So usually college and universities, this type of food will have an ebb and flow with what's in the market or what's trending. In some universities, they also in their student union, they offer a variety of managed services that cater to the needs of diverse student body. Among services offered are cafeteria food services, beverage food services, branded quick service restaurants, and takeout food services. If you go to any universities, sometimes they'll have a Subway in their lobby, they have a coffee shop, they'll have an Asian knockoff for Panda Express, a Mexican bar, all of those. So these services are provided by the student unions and it offers a wide variety. So students don't get bored of just what's being offered in their student dining or dormitory cafeterias. So these managed services vary depending on the type of operation. For residential and retail, labor costs are high and food costs are low. Whereas for concession stands or concessions, labor costs are low and food costs are high. Overall, a well-run operation makes a net profit between 5 and 15%. Let me talk about Reginald G. Washington, a Chief Operation Officer of Hodage Branded Foods. His dream was realizing while he was in school was majoring in hospitality management. This is where all you guys are majored in, right? He's always mentioned attitude is everything. This is where any jobs, come in with a positive attitude, you'll do fine. He worked for Disney and ran Epcot's food service. He was a key organization was organization and care. Organization's a big thing. He was elected to chairman of the board of the NRA. That's the National Restaurant Association, just to make it clear. And then currently operates 120 restaurants and 38 airports in the United States. Let me talk to you about Aramark. I mentioned them before being a managed service. Aramark can do food service, laundry service, janitorial. They also do housekeeping. It's a very well-rounded company. In the 1950s, Dave Davidson and Bill Fisherman, both in vending business, realized they had the same dreams. Aramark is the world's leading provider for managed food service. A lot of people I've known that gone through Aramark that have went through management and also culinary arts. they've worked for Airmark. It's one of those companies that when you work, it's a very big like industry company for hospitality. It operates with 270,000 employees in all 50 states. Customer service is at the center of what they do. Airmark operations include food, leisure, health services, business and industry, and uniform services. So all one-stop shop. A lot of big companies use this so they don't have to um, get multiple businesses for all of these items. And they recently purchased Avendra and Ameripride. Let's move on to healthcare facilities. Healthcare facilities also use managed services, including sometimes Aramark can be part of this. Healthcare food operations are very complex because they meet the needs of clientele with diverse needs. Services provided by the tray, meaning delivery to the patients in their hospital rooms, in the cafeteria, a dining room, coffee shop, catering, and the vending machines. Main focus of a hospital food service operation is the tray line, meaning that any of the patients that are staying overnight or long period of time, they're being fed. Labor accounts for 55 to 66% of operation dollars. It's a lot. Recently, healthcare facilities have experienced staff shortages. Um, it's just because labor is very expensive. That's one of those industries where you get full health benefits for the type of work that you do if you work in food service. This is one of those jobs that a lot of my students in culinary go into in order to get those benefits. And quick service chains have also entered the sector in the industry. You'll see Starbucks in a lot of hospitals. The Kaiser up the street in Gardena, they have a coffee bean in their lobby. So healthcare facilities have adopted some chains. In the business and industry segment of managed food service, you have to understand that there are different segments of it. We have contractors, companies that operate food service for the client on a contractual basis. For example, Aramark, Sodexo are all those. Self-operators, companies that operate their own food service operations, and then liaison personnel, responsible for translating corporate philosophy with the contractor and the overseeing contractor. So contractors have 80% of this business and industry market because they're so big, they're able to take that volume rather than a small mom and pop shop. They wouldn't be able to keep up. On to the next segment of food service industry, we have leisure and recreation is probably the most fun of this, including stadiums, arenas, national parks, state parks, zoos, aquariums, and other venues where food and beverage are provided for a large number of people. Being in LA, we have a lot of places that have leisure and recreation and food service together. For example, Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, Six Flags, even in Buena Park, they have that pirate and what is that one? Medieval Times. All those people include leisure and recreation, which is part of our industry. Also, stadiums. LA, we have a lot of stadiums. We have the LAFC Stadium. We have SoFi. We have where the Galaxy play. So leisure and recreation facilities have several points of service for food and beverage. We have stands. Will offer no brands to local cuisines. For example, the beer stands, nachos, Dodger dogs, and also local cuisine. They could showcase taco, even the Dodger Stadium. They could focus on local taco shops or barbecue joints. Premium seating is another point of service. Premium seating has fine dining sometimes. They have buffet service. They have cocktail service. Even where did we go? At the Staples Center. They have a lot of different dining opportunities at the Staples Center and SoFi. So anywhere you go, you have concession stands all the way up to fine dining to appetizers and all that. A large stadium could vendor in stands, concessions, and restaurants and serving 60,000 to 70,000 fans. That's a lot of people for a food service. Other facilities that they use are U.S. national parks. For example, if you go to Yosemite, they have some concession stands where you could buy hamburgers and ice cream. There's also restaurants if you go into that main hotel. You have zoos. They always have food service. Aquariums and professional tournaments always have food service. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Advantages of a food service carrier in this segment includes unique opportunity to see professional and amateur sporting events as much as you please. I have some students that work at the SoFi Stadium. Even though they're in the kitchen, they could go to live concerts and listen to whatever what's going on at the stadium. Also, I had students that lived in Disneyland, work at Disneyland. I used to work at Disneyland myself in the Central Bakery, and those opportunities you get to go use the facilities for free, basically. Disadvantages include large amounts of people to serve in a short period of time. The work schedules mainly on weekends and holidays, nights. It's very hard to work in sometimes food service that are really mainstream and large, especially if you work in a hospital. Always everyone needs to eat 24/7, 365 days out of the year. So when you're working in these industries, you're going to be working on holidays and weekends. The last segment I'm going to talk about is senior living management. It's a growing area as people are living longer, a lot of home care facilities. Their senior living management facilities range from monthly rentals to living in a villa. So it could go from very, very not so good conditions. I mean, I'm not saying not so good, but very simple conditions to living in like an estate. Upscale facilities have multiple amenities. I went to this care facility in Hawaii to visit one of my mom's patients that she took care of, and they had multiple dining. They gave us a menu. We were able to eat there. They served our food. There were also, room service, whatever we wanted. It was pretty good. But then also there's other places where you just get the tray. You get a tray, and it's just, whatever food they get. Assisted living aids a person in all their tasks. For example, if they need physical therapy, if they need a nurse on staff to help them getting up and all that. So senior living management facilities are great for those that need extra care. And that is it. So that is a Chapter 8, Managed Services. So in recap, we have schools, hospitals, military, senior living facilities, and then leisure, amusement parks and such. So any questions, email me. Have a great day.